Hi there, Wendy G. Young here, and I'd like to welcome you to the Awakening Woman Artist video series. This first video, I'll be sharing the 7 steps that will help you to start breaking through to the creative one that lives inside of you. So the first step is letting go of what no longer serves you. And this could be a relationship, any kind of relationship, business, personal, romantic. It could be a place that you've lived for a long time, a house or an apartment, or it could be a way of being in the world. Just whatever it is that you have felt nudged to let go of, that is what I'm talking about. Because we all get these feelings and hunches about things, but letting go is the hardest of the steps. It's it sets us up though to walk the other steps. So I'll be talking a little bit more about how to go forward, how to move forward with this step so that it becomes easier. And before I go to the second step, I just want to share one little story about letting go that created a very miraculous result for me. So I had an ergonomic business for 17 years, and I had this giant contract that in the second year started to fall apart, and just because of different things that were happening in the corporation, and I just was, one of the little bugs along the way. And so for a number of years I considered whether I could sell the business, and it never seemed like I could. And then one day I realized that it was time for me to let go of the business. I had thought about it, I had fretted about it, everything that you could think of. And one day I just said, you know what, that's it. It's not giving me any pleasure. And I was just going to close it. And then several days later, because I let go, just a mental, emotional let go, and so much trust in the universe that I would be taken care of, that I had this little inspiration that said, sell the business. And so one thing led to another, and 90 days later, the business was sold. And so that was like a little miracle for me. So when we're able to just go ahead and trust, get to the point where we can trust and let go of something that we've been trying to hold on to, then amazing things begin to happen. Because I believe that when we are holding on to something that we know it's time to let go of, it's an attachment to something from our past. It's like we're using that thing that we're holding on to cover up some hole from our past that we're not ready to take a look at. So, all right, so then once we let go, it brings us into a new place, and I call this discovering what has been lost and forgotten. So think about it. Discover, dissing the cover, removing the cover off of what has been hidden, what has been buried. And for me, what I was always burying was this dream to be the artist. I mean, I knew that in the back of my mind it was always there, and I had been creating art, and it had been very, very creative throughout almost my 30 years of business. But I never really worked through the blocks that kept me from really seeing that I was an artist, from really letting it sprout out into the world. So once I did that, once I let go of the business, then I was able to start moving forward, seeing what was next in my life. And so that was about almost 6 years ago, and I was able to start the new fork of my journey, and which is a lot of many, many, many stories, which there's not time to get into right now. But then that leads you into sometimes taking a look at what it is that got buried. The things, the blocks. Sometimes the blocks are the ones that that are connected to our dreams, what I call our gems. So once we have removed the lid off and we've gone in and we've done a little exploratory mission, then we get to the third step, which is releasing. releasing what has been stuck. So we get in there, we remove the cover off, and we look around and we kind of start to feel. We start to feel that those emotions that we buried, that we stuffed so long ago that we didn't want to look at. And then when we start to feel and release, then we can look inside and we can see the gem, because the gem is connected to the blocks. And so we remove the blocks through feeling. Feeling is healing. And then we look inside and we see that gem. And then we get to go in and grab it, claim it. And that's the fourth step, which is really owning it. And the way to do that is to go in, take a look, and go, wow, yes, that's so right. And what happened for me was that after I had been through my first, second, and third steps, I began to really work on this. It took me several months to really see the artist in me, because it was one thing to say I'm an artist, but it was another thing to own it, to really own it, and to really jump in and make it mine. So I called my graphic artist one day and I said, okay, I get it. I'm an artist. And she laughed and she said, yes, Wendy, I knew that. And she knew that for years. But sometimes we don't see what other people see. We have to do our own work. So then, once we own, then we move into the next step, the fifth step, which is honoring. Honoring our accomplishments. And when we do that, when we honor our accomplishments from the past, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to own our gift at a much deeper level, to really take it in. So we honor our accomplishments from the past. These are the things that we did maybe in our youth, in high school, maybe in our 20s or 30s or 40s, that we kind of dissed in a way. The life was happening so fast, and we accomplished this and we accomplished that, but then we didn't, it's like we were going so fast, we weren't paying attention. And so it's about going and really honoring this part of ourselves. It's kind of an inner thing. It's going back and saying, wow, yes, I did this and I did this, and wow, I'm so proud of myself. So it's very much an inner sort of working. And so when we do that, we move into the next step, which is celebrating you. Celebrating you is about going, wow, yes. And so we go out into the world and we start to share our story a little bit. We start to tell people what we accomplished, what we figured out about ourselves, what we let go of, what we discovered, and what it was like to feel, what it was like to let go of those stored emotions that have been living in our body for so many years, to perhaps inspire the next person to do the same thing. Because I believe all of us are artists in our own way. We're all creative. We're all here to create. So once we have celebrated, this could be throwing a party, it could be going out with friends. It's just about the sharing, the outward sharing of what it is that we accomplished, what we've done along the way. And so then once we've done that, then we get to go back inside. We get to go back inside so that we can embody. Yes, step 7 is embodiment. Embodiment of our gift. So how do we do that? Well, I'll be talking about that in just a bit. Embodiment is all about realizing the truth about ourselves. No more denial. No more denial about, no, I'm not an artist, or no, I'm not creative. That's what I did for the longest time. People would come to my house, or they would see my art or some of my creative projects, and they would ask me if I was an artist, and I would say no, Immediately, there was no thought involved at all, so I did not embody it. So, embodying is about owning it at a much deeper level. And sometimes these steps may seem a little bit overlapping, and they are, because each step lives in each other step, okay? So, as we're walking the steps, we are literally walking through different processes of steps. So letting go is part of embodying, and letting go is part of owning and releasing and discovering. Because we're multifaceted beings, we're multi-dimensional beings, and we have many things going on at one time. Always shedding our skin, yes. Hair's always falling out, at least in my brush, there's hair that comes out all the time. We're always shedding our skin, we're always moving forward, always discovering new things, always releasing, always owning something about ourselves. That's just the way that life is as we go about our journey, okay? So think about what it is that you have been wanting to let go of. What is it that you think that you have not owned? Start to think about that. Start to take that in and process that around. And I will be back with another video where we will discuss the soul being characteristics, who you have to be to walk these steps successfully. Until that time, okay.